at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Dozy Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio. Andy Isco will be with us at the bottom of the hour. He's been a pretty hot handicapper of, I wouldn't even say of late. Just he's been good all year. Another good week for him. We'll hear what Andy's got to say. We do first class, second class, and no class in hour number 2. Jimmy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Charlie.
You're waking up in Steelerville. You got to be pretty happy. They win last night. It beat the Giants. They managed to get through the first part of the season with, I don't want to say a quarterback controversy, but certainly a quarterback situation that was in flux. Before the season, it was...
It was definitely very much a quarterback situation.
Let's call it a situation because Wilson was hurt, and it obviously isn't now. I don't know that he.
There's a lot of quarterback situations. The quarterback controversies are the ones that the guys are. You're just not playing the best quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know how many games he had both available to him at full strength and had to actually make a choice.
No,
the last one.
The first Wilson start.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And you got 4 wins out of the group with a rock solid defense and enough on offense to keep you alive. And now you've actually got a bona fide passing game. Wilson,
very much so.
Wilson looks like
way better in
4
these
years
two
ago.
games than he ever looked at Denver.
Yep.
I mean, that was a rough experiment. They just. With so much that they gave up to get him from Seattle, I mean, expectations may have affected him as well. Maybe, and this was not as much expectations. I mean, they got him for nothing. I mean, so
right.
What the last team gave up for him compared to this team, and so I mean, anything is. It's funny how that works, but he's better. He is better. Justin Fields to this point until he improves his passing and his decision-making, his accuracy, all of it. He's a backup quarterback and a very good one, because he's so big and so strong. He can throw the ball. That's not – the skill set is there. It's all the other things that may come with time and may not come at all.
And he's a change of pace too, right? He's different than the guy that's starting. He provides a running threat, and Wilson is not really much of a threat to run at this point in his career.
No, they ran a design run last night with him, though.
One.
Yeah, but one more than I expected.
Sure.
But he's Wilson looks better shape, too.
He does. He looks healthy. And
he's fat.
I guess my point was about Fields is if he has to come into a game at some point later in the season, he's a
played
different
LSU,
look.
he'll win Player of the Week,
Yes.
Yeah, so.
It's been a popular topic this week. Or unpopular topic this week.
Shocked they put a running quarterback in there that's already played. But it's surprising to me. But the ceiling, there was a ceiling, there was limitations with Fields. I think Fields, and maybe, Fields is that he was admirable. He is liked. He is a better locker room person. But there doesn't seem to be, there seems to be a really good rapport between he and his receivers because they can now get the ball. I mean, receivers are divas. We know it. They're headaches. They want the ball. They don't want to block the whole thing. But we know. I mean, they do. It is the position that take the receivers minus all other positions and boneheaded things off and on the field. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're going to be happier getting more balls. I mean, what do you think the Cleveland receivers are? And
ecstatic.
Yes, he's
ecstatic
again. Right. I mean, it forced the guy to to have a season-ending injury for the organization to operate properly.
Yeah.
But this is the right move in that he gives them a chance. I can only go by what I saw recently with Wilson. And, we have to do the same thing with Watson. We can't it's Wilson had enough starts at Denver for us to get a sample size after Seattle.
Yes.
And he's got a new lease on life, and he definitely understands the Pickens is, he's a headache. He is a poor decision maker on and off the field, but man, he is a talent. He is a talent, and we saw him in a game, and even though he didn't have a ton of production, he was giving Surtain, he was giving him some, he was a challenge for Surtain. We don't see that a whole lot in this league, and man, it just opens up everything. Their defense doesn't seem to be quite as dominant because other teams. It was a weird game because they were getting a lot of protection early. In the second half, they couldn't protect Jones at all. He got hit a lot. It was kind of a weird deal. But they moved the ball. They had touchdowns called. Both teams had touchdowns called back. But the Giants were moving the ball and had a few chunk plays. The tight end was running over people. They had this, right before half. They had the seam route that when they were in should have just ran the ball and run the clock down to just get to the half. But they took a shot and got a field goal out of it. A good little drive.
And they found something with the old rookie in Tracy. He's a nice back. The play over the left side.
Where's he from?
Purdue.
Okay.
And he's a 23 or 24-year-old
150
rookie.
yards last night?
Yeah, about $140. And he's been a real find for them.
Man, when have they gotten that?
Saquon
didn't rush for that last year.
No, Saquon never had any room. Singletary's a nice back, but they've really found something with Tracy here in the last month. And, this is about Pittsburgh's defense. They've got one of we can put him in a group with Surtain and Myles Garrett, but T.J. Watt is a difference maker. And the one spot in the game where, certainly if you've got Pittsburgh minus the points, but even if you just got Pittsburgh straight up, where the Giants could have really turned up all of the heat. Pittsburgh fumbled. It was a sack on Wilson. So they turned the ball over to the Giants in plus territory at the 37-yard line. And Watt not only makes the sack, causes the fumble, he recovers the fumble.
Yeah.
And this is the point in the game where the Giants really had a chance to get back in it, and he put a stop to that drive almost single-handedly. He's one of the 2 or 3 best defensive players in football. He may be the best. And last night he made a difference-making play.
He has been for a while.
Has been for a while, absolutely. Absolutely. You want those guys to step up and make the big plays.
Their offense has been so poor that it's kind of
that defense has had to carry him, so many times.
Yeah, so you
over
don't.
The last few years.
They've got Mason Rudolph and
Kenny Pickett.
This
is Russell Wilson playing like this is a
major
major upgrade. They're 6-2. They get a bye. They're going to be dangerous in the second half. They're going to be dangerous.
Najee's in better shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's you got to look at that. We used to go to LSU, first practice, and I don't care if they keep us there for 10 minutes. I want to see who's in shape and who's out of shape.
Yeah.
And 2004, some guys, looked like we won a national championship for the first time in 45 years.
Yeah.
And then other times, they look good. And usually it's not as much variance because they're on campus. They're around campus. They're being monitored by the strength and conditioning coach. The facilities are more desirable to be in, than the old weight room at the south end end zone at the stadium. Just the whole bit, but Najee and Russell Wilson specifically, they just seem the waistline don't lie. They look at Najee's running he's different back this year. He's running lighter. He is, And when you open up the passing game, then that opens up space for him. He had several chunk runs last night.
It's no guarantee that the players.
He loves to leap, though. Huh?
Yeah,
he's a hurdler. But it paid off one time.
It did. The sense of entitlement is gone for Harris and Wilson. Now, players don't always respond the way you want to. But Wilson's not getting another big contract. He's not even guaranteed to be a starter anymore. up until 2 weeks ago. Harris was a first-round pick, so he had that certain amount of comfort level. And when Warren came in last year and was the much better back, it was like, okay, this is year zero for you. You not only do you may not have a future in Pittsburgh, you may just be a journeyman back for 1 or 2 more years, and then you're going to be out of the league.
Clyde was a first-round pick. Pacheco came in, outperformed
him, and moved up.
And
there was no guarantee that Clyde was going to make the Chiefs this year. He did, and then he got hurt. But no, those first-round picks at running back, they can
especially at
age
that
out quick.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the position. Yes. Yeah, they can. And there's Mike Tomlin again. Been a minute since they won a playoff game, but boy, they win way more than they lose with that guy. And to get them to 6-2,
told you this was the year.
You did.
But well, this is crazy, man. The Wilson deal, man. I mean, this is if he playing like they don't win last night. I want to see if it's kind of like the Jets defense last year. There was so little fear of the Jets offense. Now, we know the numbers aren't a whole lot different this year, okay, with Rodgers and his hand-picked supporting cast. The Giants moved the ball a little bit more on the Steelers than I expected last night. I'm being a little bit picky, but they know they have to move the ball. They have to be teams because now that they're more balanced on offense. They're more explosive on offense. They're better on offense. They're more potent. And, opposing offenses know they got to make more plays to stay in the game. And so that's the only thing. They turned it up the second half, but first half Giants moved the ball.
They did. I'm always Daniel Jones is just tough to watch sometimes. I know he's hung in there, but, man, I never have had – since that 1 year where he came on late and they won in the playoffs, he's been tough to watch. So, haven't had the utmost of confidence in him. So whenever they do,
he's not that good,
right? I'm trying to be nice.
Okay, he's barely. He's a second tier. I don't know if he's definitely in the bottom half of the starters, where between 17 and 32 you have him in the league. I don't know, split the difference. Low 20s. He does make some plays at times, but he is limited. But, does he have a great protection? Not usually.
No.
He does have a guy in Neighbors now, but even when a little where protection is not going to be an issue, it's a short 3-step drop, a little slant to Neighbors, throws the ball behind him. And he's got to throw that ball, catchable ball in rhythm, which should not be very difficult, which every quarterback should be able to throw pretty easily. And he throws it behind him instead of allowing Neighbors to get the yards after the catch.
And in fairness to him, there was another ball that he did throw perfectly in rhythm on a third down that Neighbors just flat out dropped. That he's got room to run. So
Neighbors had some key drops. He's made a lot of plays. We've had some key drops as well. Of course, the biggest one was in Washington on fourth down.
On fourth down, yeah. And he had a marvelous day before that in Washington that day, but
he's had a marvelous year.
Yeah,
but he's had a few critical drops along the way. So, still, that's the Giants have a limited roster. The Steelers were a quarterback away. And, where do you have Wilson right now, Charlie? It's 2 games. It's still an incomplete, we maybe have to, with the first quarter test here, maybe, we don't have a complete semester to.
For me, it's physical with him. It's not like a rookie or an unknown has come in.
He's got that. He looks good.
Yeah.
He's in better shape. He's moving better, and he can throw the ball.
So I'm not worried about the moment. If this was a rookie that was coming up and just dazzled for 2 games, you go, okay, can he handle all of the pressure that's going to come along with it? Well, Wilson's got all that. He's a vet. If he's healthy, yeah,
I don't know if he's, if a teammate tries to call him, he's got to go through his publicist right now, but the body language and just the interaction, just what the general fan can see, it doesn't look like it's affecting it. It looks just to be just fine with his new surroundings. I think the receivers, maybe because the receivers are happy to get balls more.
He got a little humble pie. He got a little humble pie.
Maybe that's force. Whatever's happening behind the scenes, and when you come in and you know, Jerry DiNardo, why did we respect him so much? Why did we appreciate him? I'm sure much more than most people. He followed Curly home. Joe Brady, why was he appreciated so much?
He followed Cam Cameron.
well, Les Miles.
Les Miles, Cam Cameron.
Okay, no matter who. So it's a good situation. There's some legitimate. They can get to the playoffs and actually win a game or two now. They couldn't do it. That was a joke. That post game. I mean, that playoff game at Buffalo last year. I mean, that was hard to watch. We're live here at Doe's Eat Place. We're in the Crown Town room, baby. That's right, in the bar area. 3 big screen TVs. We got the audio. We can turn up on the game. You go to off weekends, so come on by and see us over here at Doe's. Got an extra hour this Saturday night. Got to go out Saturday night so you can dine and do your thing and still get up and have an extra hour to sleep on Saturday as well. A lot of things going on around town, and do your thing as well. So come on over here and get a great steak. You can split that porterhouse, a strip on one side, filet on the other. Can actually cook it at 2 different temperatures. All the side hand-cut fries better than anybody around. So come see us over here at the Crown Town room. The football season, to get a great steak in a casual atmosphere, great wine selection, great signature cocktails, and just watch your ball games as well in the Crown Town room at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, plus the new LouisianaSports.net. New Handycast we dropped last night, watching the film of LSU and Texas A&M. If you want to go check that out on Handycast on YouTube. We were able to look at some of the things that Marcel Reed did and why LSU was not able to stop him. We looked at some of the good things and the tough things for LSU, the tale of 2 halves. But, Jimmy, we did look as one of the things was what kind of defensive alignments that LSU had against Reed. And
we're at least crowding the box.
The safeties on the 2 plays that we broke down on the film were at 9 and 11. Gilbert was at 9 yards, and Ryan was at 11 yards. It was on the touchdown run, the 8-yard touchdown run. It was a bad angle. He made a nice bounce out. Would have been tough to stop him short of gaining maybe 4 or 5 yards, but the touchdown there was a place for it. And then we broke down another yard, a 20-yard run where Gilbert lines up at 8 yards. At 9 yards, and Ryan's at 11 yards. So. Were they crowding it? No. But everything they ran him out of that we broke down, they ran out of spread formation. So you had 3 receivers into wide to both boundaries, and then the one guy in the slot. And LSU was playing man-to-man on those 3, and then the safeties were sitting at 9 and 11. The 20-yard run that we got on the film there is room to stop it. It was an over pursue by one of the linebackers, and then the guy's pretty tough to tackle. So did they crowd? No. Were they playing way back? No. And some of that was dictated by, at least on the plays that we broke down, was dictated by formation. So kind of an incomplete answer for you, I guess. He just made a bunch of plays, and the one time that they did kind of they were expecting run on the first down where they threw the ball deep down the middle of the field. That was one where they did creep up a little bit, and he was able to throw the ball over the top.
No problem with that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if he attempted 2 passes.
Yeah.
How many snaps?
34, I think we said.
It's a pretty strong one-dimensional.
Well, I'm sorry, 34 snaps in the second half. Subtract 8 for
26.
26 or 27, because Wegman had the first 2 drives of the second half. So just a frustrating thing for LSU fans. What do you think?
You know, the other thing.
You don't think he's going to start, or you said you wouldn't start him this week necessarily against South Carolina.
No, with a strong coach, you can take a quarterback controversy and make it. I mean, they don't have a great consistent quarterback. I mean,
no, they don't.
You got a passer and a runner. You got an inconsistent passer and a consistent runner. But when you're just a running only, a run heavy quarterback is going to be limited as well. And LSU didn't take advantage of those limitations when he came into the game. The other game where it was brought to was against Nick Saban. That wasn't nearly this type of production, but the 2011 LSU Alabama game. Lee went out. Mm-hmm. They came in, and they weren't ready for, that's just the greatest of all time now, Nick Saban. Yeah. And they weren't ready for Jordan Jefferson's option. And that was the only really if you remember, some productive offensive plays. And again, they didn't give up a touchdown,
No, but you're right. Jefferson had one really significant pass in that game. You remember who caught it?
It was way underthrown.
It was way underthrown, but he got it. It was the biggest gain to Russell Shepard down inside the 10-yard line. Kind of like they had one real significant pass that was thrown right down the middle. Well, let me ask you, put your Shane Beamer hat on for a second. They're going to South Carolina this week. What are you prepping for? And by the way, South Carolina is not a very big underdog in this game. A&M is a 2.5-point favorite.
It opened up?
Higher than that, right?
6.5.
Yeah.
6.5.
Catching on to this home field advantage thing?
I think it's below 2.5 now, Charlie.
I'm seeing 2.5 where I'm looking.
Was the crowd a factor on Saturday night? College Station?
The momentum.
Lily motion?
Momentum is real.
Lily motion?
Yes.
Emotion. When you leave that much emotion on the field, you're supposed to have that much less in the tank next week. So what would is Indiana going to go to East Lansing with a little less emotion?
I think that's a tough spot for them to go. If you were Shane Beamer, what would you be? I know you got to prepare for both, but what are you expecting them to do?
I don't know, and you don't really go in with an expectation. You see what they go.
I think you got to prep for both.
Well, you always do.
No, not last week. They didn't. LSU didn't.
Well, you always do.
You're supposed to.
They just you don't think they spent any preparation time for the legs of the Arkansas quarterback?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so it should not be Chinese arithmetic when he comes into the game.
It shouldn't have been as drastic as it was.
Is Wegman a guaranteed product? Nobody is.
No.
So, when they make the change, after you're having defensive success,
yeah.
you got to, be ready. And this, look, man, it showed we didn't prepare. Dude, you're getting paid well. I think Woody asked Kelly at South Bend, said, hey, if you haven't a lot of success against a passing quarterback, to make a change to a one-dimensional run-only quarterback, what do you do? Are you ready?
That probably didn't come up in the interview, no.
You think they asked the Chicago Bears, coach, okay.
How are you going to defend the Hail Mary?
Yeah. Are you going to give up 13 yards first? But then if you do a Hail Mary, are you going to spy? Are you going to use one of your 11 to spy
from 52
and
yards
play
away?
With 10?
No, that probably didn't come up either.
No, you're paid way too damn much for this to blindside you. That's my problem.
Yeah, I agree.
And has Baker done a good job this year? More than I expected with the improvement on this defense, given that the personnel was limited. Okay, so I understated the switch in defense. He has, but this was a step backwards.
Yeah, it was. I think they go with the hot hand and they start. They don't start Wegman. They go with the hot hand, and if it doesn't work, if Reed, if the offense bogs down, then
why did he not go with the hot hand against Missouri?
That's an excellent question, and I can't answer.
It's the same team.
It is, and it's the same two quarterbacks. And Reed they were playing well, they were winning. I don't have a good answer for that. You and I were both surprised watching that game that they went in the other direction. So
did Wegman play like he was entitled that day?
No.
Best game ever.
He was fantastic, and they blew Missouri out from start to finish. So if I'm Beamer, I sit there and go, hey, you know what? There's no guarantee he's going to start Reed. he might start Wegman. He might do exactly what you're talking about and say, hey, listen, Wegman goes out there and he plays well, great. If not, I can go to my bullpen early.
I don't know if Elko knows right now, to be honest.
Well,
Charlie, I can make arguments why for either quarterback, and also for if one quarterback struggles, then to go to the other one. That's my thing too.
He's got 3 heavy practice days the next 3 days, so he's got to figure out how he's going to divvy up the reps this week.
He doesn't have to tell anybody. No, why rush to a judgment?
One of the more interesting games this week for sure.
Workbox can handle all of your movable storage needs, commercial or residential. Our shipping containers come in all various sizes. 8x8, 8x10, 8x20, or even 8x40 feet, not just one size. These units can be customized for any use: custom lunchrooms, offices, work sites for plumbers and welders, dual purpose, part office, part storage, climate control, shelving, lighting options as well, using different materials, whatever you need. Give my buddy Martin Padial on Workbox a call at 343-4886, 343-4886, and workboxllc.com.
Live at Doe's. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Isco.
One and only. 2-0.
Two and only. Two and
only.
2-0.
2 and only. I mean, my man is ripping it up again. Who was his pick Sunday again, Charlie?
Broncos and Commanders.
Broncos.
Might have got a little, got a break in the Commanders game.
Oh, should have been a wider score earlier. Andy, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing fine, gentlemen. I'm on my way out to vote. I'm just trying to recall when I do my write-in. Pat Paulson, I think that's with an E-N, not an O-N, for those of you old enough to remember.
What's that name?
Pat Paulson, the comedian from the Smothers Brothers.
Yeah, okay.
He was always running for president as, like an eighth party candidate or something. So, yes.
Gotcha.
I was trying a little humor, and obviously I was successful.
We missed the Smothers Brothers.
I think that's one of those. They call that a bank joke because only the teller gets it.
Hey. What'd you think of the Washington Bears game? Are the Bears defense just that good? I mean, they haven't given up 20 points. What's the streak now? And how many games? So for Washington to move the ball, but not
over 400 yards,
settle for threes instead of sevens.
Kind of like Pittsburgh.
Kept the Bears in the game, but then again, the Bears had a chance to put it away, and then they scored. How about this one, Charlie? No 300-pound running back has scored a touchdown when a team was losing.
Right.
See, so they put them in only when it's kind of,
have a little. You got a little
error. Yeah, you look. Yes. What's that, Andy?
Not even refrigerator Perry.
No, not when they were losing.
Not when they were losing.
No. Nope. It was only.
These are two teams, the Bears and the Commanders, that at the start of the season I both expected them to be improved. I played them both over their win totals. And as we talked on Sunday, I liked the Commanders because I didn't think that by the time on Sunday, the line had already moved because we knew that Daniels was going to start. But I was the handicap all week, and I wrote it up in my newsletter, that I didn't think it would be that much of a dramatic drop-off if they had to rely on Mariota, who's an experienced veteran, and showed his capability in relief. And then again, the other thing to keep in mind, even though he's a backup, keep in mind that he's replacing, although he's been great, Daniels, and he has been, he's still replacing a rookie quarterback going up against a solid defensive team. So I was all in on Washington, especially once the line flipped. But I would not be surprised if Chicago goes into Arizona this week and gets the win. It's basically a pick-em game. And I like what I've seen out of the Bears, and I would not be surprised if they go into Arizona. I'm not going to make that an official pick because I want to see what the line does on Sunday, but I'm looking that way. As long as it remains in that 1 to 2 point range or no more, it'll probably be one of the two picks.
Andy, what's your thoughts on the NFC East right now?
I expected Washington to make improvement. I did not expect the improvement to come so quickly. And even the defense has shown improvement over the last 3-4 games from where it was in that opening game loss at Tampa Bay. So Dallas, I thought, was an important game the other night, and they were competitive for a bit, but I really thought they had a real good chance to win that game. And ultimately, San Francisco was able to get things done. I think it's going to come down to Washington and Philadelphia and how they fare in the two games they still have to play against one another.
Cincinnati Bengals? Okay, it is an interesting deal. Playoffs or no playoffs, and people bet on this, and it's funny. No matter with every win or every loss, the odds basically stay pick'em, Charlie, and that's a disappointing loss at home. But when you talk about the playoffs, you have 7, and it's like six are going to be hard to keep out. Kansas City, Houston, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Baltimore, and I would say the Chargers are going to be hard to keep out. I mean, Denver at 5-3 they're getting ready to go to Baltimore and to Kansas City. Let's
see what Miami does with Tua in for possibly the rest of the season. They can still make it into a wild card.
Yeah, I mean that's a bad loss, Andy, to Arizona with the lead. I mean that's a bad loss. I don't think they're capable of look. And Tua looked good. Tua looked fine. That offense was moving again, but man, it's just a lot of loose strings down there. A lot of substitute story teachers coming out of there. McDonald doesn't really practice them hard. Fangio, who's very respected, who got a job in a minute after he left. They urged him out. The players thought he was too hard. Too much. The tail wagging a dog in that organization.
I was just thinking in terms of. Possibly. In other words, Miami's not in that much of a different situation than Cincinnati right now. Cincinnati is in the tougher division with 3 teams capable of making a run, because I think now with Winston in there, Cleveland can still make up some ground as well. In fact, you may want to put in there, in fact, I'd like to see a proposition bet, what the price would be. Will any of Miami, Cleveland, or Cincinnati make the playoffs?
I mean, and how long would Charlie? Do they want to screw around and not play the better quarterback in Indianapolis? That's another factor. I mean, would they be 4-4 with Flacco right now? No.
I think they're married to Richardson as long as he's healthy. I could be wrong. They could put him on.
By
the
the
bench.
way, keep in mind, people forget this because they missed the playoffs last year. Colts were 9-8 last year, so it's not like you're asking them to do something and come back from like a 4-win or 5-win season.
And he played, I think, 4 games last year before he got hurt, Richardson. The surprising thing about Cincinnati is the difference in them playing good versus playing bad has everybody talk about the defense. It's T. Higgins, the offense. The 3 games that they have won, Higgins was in for all of them. And the 2 games that they lost when he played, they scored 33 and 38 points. So it wasn't on the offense. But that offense goes stagnant when they don't have him. And they've got 2 competent running backs. And Burrow's having a really good year. So is Chase. But when Higgins isn't there, they don't have that second pitch. And they really feel it offensively. And they've lost every game he hadn't played.
Las Vegas at home, they're favored in. They'll be favored heavily at Tennessee. But the other 7 games are all... It's going to be, home and home with Pittsburgh, at Baltimore, at the Chargers, at Dallas, who knows what you got there. Cleveland is better with Wentz. How about Wentz? He led the league in passing this weekend. I mean,
Wait, the quarterback was the problem in Cleveland? That never occurred to me.
Denver, we don't know. Sean Payton's using his trick plays against Carolina. I don't know what he's thinking at some times over there. So
Carolina's so bad they let Bo Nix throw the ball down the field.
Yeah. So it's and that's where it's just going to be close. It's going to be close. And Cincinnati's win total right now, they have to go 6-3 the rest of the games, and that would put them at 9-8. And their win total currently, their adjusted win total was 8.5. So I don't know.
They're going to kick themselves over that Commanders game. That was the one.
But they've got the talent, but there are still concerns about the defense, even though it had played well. But, look who they were up against, a couple of these teams that they played. Now, Philadelphia, I think, may have exposed some things. I wasn't surprised that Philadelphia won the game. I was surprised at how they were able to just pull away in what was a tight game for, the first 30 minutes.
Andy, what do you make of the Jets at 2-6 being favored over the 6-2 Houston Texans?
The only thing that I can think of has got to be on expectations that the Jets are going to turn things around. Reddick was back; he showed his rust, and you really can't blame Rodgers. He led him on that drive towards the end that got him the lead, and it was the defense, the strength of the team, that allowed Brissett to go down the field and ultimately pull the upset. Houston is a very solid team. I liked Indianapolis last week plus the points because Indianapolis now, every game they've played has been, I think, 6 points or less. And Houston's been involved in, I think, only 2 games that were not one-score games. So I think they're expecting Houston to probably be competitive. If I play the game, and I probably will, I want to see where this line goes. It probably goes back to pick 'em, I honestly think. I can only support Houston.
And of course,
right now.
It's a logjam in the NFC West, but San Francisco shows sometimes they look really good, sometimes they look, and then they better put teams.
Keep an eye on the Rams. I think last year they were 3-6, and then made that late season run to make it as a wild card. And they're getting healthy now with the receivers. They were able to run the ball, etc. a little bit. I would not be surprised. It's a big game this week at Seattle. If the Rams can pull the upset against Seattle, they might be worth a look at winning the division. Remember, they already have that win at the 49ers earlier.
Arizona with the tiebreaker right now atop the division, but the 3-4-4 teams, and the Rams are 3-4. So, a logjam in the NFC West. Andy, you looking at any college picks this weekend?
I'm looking at taking the points with Pitt against SMU. I like a lot of what I saw from Pitt last week against Syracuse, especially the way the defense frustrated McCord, the quarterback. I think he completed 28 passes, but 5 of them were to Pittsburgh defenders. And SMU is a nice team. They struggled a little bit more than we would have expected against Duke, even though the final score was a little bit misleading. They were up 21-7 in that game. I'm considering Vanderbilt. One more win by Vanderbilt, and they're bowl eligible with 6 wins. So I've not been impressed with Auburn. That was a nice win they had against Kentucky, but Kentucky had been reeling for the last few weeks. I think the 6.5 is a nice take with Vanderbilt. Those are a couple of the ones that I'm looking at. The one game that intrigues me, and I haven't really decided yet, is A&M at South Carolina. I played A&M over the season win total. I had them last week against LSU. It's a tough spot for them, and whereas normally I would look to lay the under the field goal, I may end up passing on that one until I evaluate the game a little bit more. But I think that's one of the more intriguing games in the SEC. With the win over LSU, both of them were unbeaten in SEC play, and now A&M controls its own fate as far as winning the conference, at least the regular season.
Keep in mind, though, Narduzzi Holstein was injured in the fourth quarter. Design running play, big lead, unnecessary for a Holstein. And look, Holstein is a little bit better athlete than most pocket passers of his ability. But come on, man, what are you doing? That's unnecessary risk right there. And he got injured on a designed option play in the fourth quarter. Narduzzi's playing. Excuse me.
That I think is also for at least the co-lead in the AAC, or maybe it's for the lead. No, and the Army's still there.
You got Miami and Clemson are undefeated in the league too. So
in the AAC,
Do we give SMU credit for overcoming 6 turnovers and winning on the road, or do we ding them for turning the ball over 6 times in the first place?
Well, it's uncharacteristic of them. They actually had like a +6 or +7 turnover margin differential
since the quarterback change.
Entering that game, and so it's a little bit of an outlier more than a trend. They haven't done it like that, so I give them credit. You don't know where these games are coming from, but they had a 14-point second half lead, and man, they let it back in. They needed a short 30-yard field goal attempt to be blocked. And they had to block it to do it. And then they had to survive a 2-point conversion with Manny Diaz. They scored early, and they went for 2. And I think that's a percentage play because you're at the disadvantage when you go first in the next overtime. Yeah. So I do think it's a percentage play, but just didn't work out for
Plus, take your one shot. You got 6 turnovers in that game if you're Duke. You got one shot to win it? Go win. You don't have the better team.
I give them a little bit more credit, Charlie. Then ding them up because this is uncharacteristic compared to the rest of the season for them. Follow Andy on Twitter.
I give them more credit than penalizing them. 6 turnovers can happen. Sometimes they're accidental turnovers. But the fact that they were able to overcome that and still win, that's a credit to them. But on the other hand, you have to realize that they're not going to do that if they have even 4 turnovers against most competitive football teams.
Pitt officially taking a wait-and-see approach about, as of earlier this morning, about Holstein's availability in Dallas on so we will see. Andy, thank you, buddy. Follow Andy on Twitter at VegasAndy711. We'll talk to you on Sunday from the Beau Rivage and get you your top picks of the weekend.
Have a great week, guys. Look forward to Sunday.
Oh, yes, indeed. Don't forget our friends over at K&M Automotive. Jason Payne at K&M Automotive, the only place I take my vehicle. He's on Segan Lane. Segan near Perkins, right across the street from Ambrosia Bakery. Anything any type of maintenance that your car needs. The engine light comes on, come on by. Need a oil change, come on by. Brakes failing, come on by. And Jason will give you an honest deal. That's all we ask for. Now, he's busy. You may have to come by at a more convenient time. He may be able to take you right off the street. We just don't know. But go by and see him because he's going to give you a fair shake. That's why he has so much business. K&M Automotive on Segan, right by Perkins Road, across from Ambrosia Bakery, the only place I take my vehicle.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Doe's, live at lunch here in Mid-City. Thank you for being with us today. We do first class, second class, and no class at the top of the next hour. We don't. We can't do a visual, so I couldn't put the Dwayne Wade statue in any of the categories because you can't.
Heard it was struggling a little bit, huh?
It was odd. It's supposed to be depicting him of one of their big playoff wins against the Chicago Bulls, where he's celebrating, and it just looked odd. I kind of
Miami Heat big win against the Bulls.
15 years ago.
Right. You say so. Memorable, huh?
Just telling you what I read, because I went and looked at the statue, and I kind of been, I want to say anti, but ambivalent toward the whole statue craze. It's like
it's overdone,
way overdone. I don't know quite why we had to turn sports into a cemetery. You see statues at cemeteries of religious figures, saints or whatever, and I never quite understood why. But that's the thing now, okay? It's not enough to be in a Hall of Fame or a Ring of Honor or anything like that. You got to have a statue, okay? They've even had to take some of the statues down, like in Pennsylvania. But this one was particularly odd. I don't get why this is. It's not that Dwayne Wade hasn't been like the most important player in the history of the franchise. I get that he has been. Yeah. Recognize him any way you want, but the statue. They might could have put a little bit more thought to it, but it didn't make first class, second class, no class because we can't show you a picture. Just one of those odd things to see. When we come back, we will do first class, second class, no class here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
A month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
And welcome you back here at Doe's Eat Place live at lunch. Jimmy, I got a special little thing here in first class, second class, no class for you. Something that you
a little treat,
something that you were hoping for that you didn't even know was possible. At least I didn't know it was possible. We'll get to that in a minute. First class.
Can't wait.
No, you're gonna like this one. All right, first class. How about Bo Prabula? And I think I'm saying that right. The backup quarterback for Penn State. He's putting a little bit of Prabula. Putting a little bit of a tight spot, huh? Comes in on the road at Wisconsin with his team behind. And Wisconsin had been playing well, coming into this game. That's not an easy place to play. And
look ahead spot,
and you got a ton on the line, man. Penn State they're playing for everything. The Big Ten championship is in play. The playoff is certainly in play. I don't think they're going to win the national championship, but they're in the conversation. This is a lot of pressure to put on a kid who was not very highly recruited. He's a fairly local kid. He grew up about an hour away from State College. And, man, he went in there, went 11 of 13, 98 yards and a touchdown, and ran for 28 more. Mm-hmm. Now, the pick six was what sparked him. But the last 2 touchdown drives he engineered. That's a hell of a spot.
So the pick six was first?
The pick six was first. But he really showed a lot of composure on those last 2 drives, led them to touchdowns, and put the game away. And that's just a heck of a spot to put him in.
Aller is improved. How much? I don't know. But, I mean, he is improved. The switch, offensive coordinator from Kansas to Penn State has had its effect on both those quarterbacks. Jalen Daniels has not had as good of a year as he's had previously, and Aller has improved. He is pushing the ball downfield a little bit more with less and protecting it also. And he went down late in the first. He actually left the game about a minute early to go to the locker room, kind of get checked out, his left knee. And the way it sounds to me, Charlie, maybe you press that inside of your knee, and when it's really sensitive, it's usually an MCL sprain. MCL sprains used to be 3 to 4 weeks. MCL sprain is what Patrick Mahomes played with in the AFC Championship game 1 week after. So we're not going to know till I would lean on that he's not going to play. And Prabula, like you said, I mean, with the backup quarterbacks, your quarterback depth, it's important. And, man, so he started the second half. He started the second half down 10-7, and they outscored them 21-3. And Wayne going away in a tough spot that I liked Wisconsin in that game, and would have liked him even more with the backup quarterback coming in. But he gets some valuable seasoning before this big start against Ohio State. Not the primetime game. They're starting at 11 a.m. They're going to kick off. I guess they'd do the whiteout anyway. Yeah. But it's not quite the same juice as night. I mean, it's one of the few games where they it's kind of a network decision, because it seems like more and more all of the networks or the outlets are showing games are playing their best game at night. But this one is obviously a top 5 matchup deep into the season, and they're going to go with the early start, so their big game on Fox. So Prabula, and I think he's going to have to start on Saturday as well.
We know a little something around here about what the fans and the school wants and what the networks want, and the networks win every time as far as game time. They had one sponsor that I'd take their check and tell them how to run their business, Charlie. No, I get it. I get it. Also, Miami, you had them in your 5-pack. They won. They covered. I only saw a little bit of this game. And
not as easy as expected. This was a little bit of it was not.
That's what I thought watching the little bit I saw. And so here's why I give them credit for that. If you can hold home, and I understand Florida State's season has been an absolute disaster.
1-7.
But you can ho-hum your way to a 4-touchdown win in a rivalry game and all that stuff.
I wouldn't say ho-hum.
Give me what you thought.
Because these teams were playing with intensity. These teams won. They threw the Philly special up, 15 or 17, whatever it was. I mean, this was they never lacked intensity. They lacked dominating results.
Yeah.
And Florida State had a fluke quarterback sneak that popped into like a 50-yard run. I think to set up their only touchdown of the game, or maybe scored their only touchdown. But it wasn't just this 54-10 that I thought it could be. And it was very close to the number, and that's not good. But it just wasn't this. Florida State played with some pride, and they still have a few athletes on that team that Miami just didn't outclass them. And Miami's not blowing out anybody, are they?
No, not
Cal.
No,
I mean,
when you can win
Virginia
without
Tech.
This is a pitcher winning without his best stuff.
I mean, Louisville. I mean, every game is competitive. Right. This one was not competitive. It wasn't competitive, but it wasn't the clear run out. But what Miami game has been. It's been a while.
Right.
They're running out everybody in the first four games or so.
The 4 games that they have remaining, tell me if they're going to be double-digit favorites I know they are this week. They're a 20-point favorite over Duke at home. Will they be at least double-digit favorites against Wake Forest at home? Obviously they will. But the 2 road games at Georgia Tech, at Syracuse, they double-digit favorites in both of those games?
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to take a major
were they favored over Louisville? 5.5? It's going to be close, though.
Okay.
It's going to be right around 10, 11 at Syracuse and at Tech.
No, at Georgia Tech. Yeah, at Georgia
10
Tech.
10 or 11,
okay.
right around there.
So it's going to take a big upset to keep them out of 12-0. A significant upset, not just one where that's where they're cruising to. All right, here's your cookie. I got to give credit. Brad Crawford wrote this piece for 24/7. It would have never occurred to me. You've been on since the day they announced the schedules. Texas getting the absolute, what'd you call it, the fruit basket?
Yes.
Welcome to the league. Okay.
No special treatment here from the big bad SEC for Texas.
Well, here's where it could come back to bite them in the rear. All right. There is a scenario where 4 teams would finish in a tie, and Texas would be left out of the SEC championship game. Nothing's far-fetched. All it requires is for Texas to beat Texas A&M and for every other favorite to win. Now, we know that there's too many upsets.
Texas might probably be a favorite at A&M, too.
Okay, so
if
if Texas beats Texas A&M and Texas wins the rest of their games, A&M wins the rest of their games, and Georgia and LSU win the rest of their games, and they will be favored in all of them, okay? Then you get to a 4-way tiebreaker where the head-to-head competition would be thrown out because LSU and Texas didn't play and LSU and Georgia didn't play and A&M and Georgia didn't play. Your common conference opponents would be thrown out because you do not have a common opponent for all 4. The tiebreaker number 3 was your record against the highest common conference opponent. You throw that out. It gets down to the last tiebreaker, which is the Longhorns' schedule would be the worst out of the 4, the combined records of their conference opponents. And Texas at 7-1 and 11-1 on the season would be left out of the SEC championship game because of their poor strength of schedule, Jimmy Ott.
If I'm Sarkisian and I'm Longhorn Nation and I'm, including the ones who kicked and screamed in the playpen when they didn't get the call that they wanted and just threw all kinds of stuff out of the playpen and onto the playing field, I'll take it. Really? Yeah. You give me this fruit basket, and this is the one stipulation I have to live with. If we go down to the 7th tiebreaker, we get left out. I'll take it.
Wouldn't you just love it if they got left out and had to come to the press conference and say, we asked the SEC. They would be just like them. We asked the SEC for a competitive schedule, and what did they give us? They give us this garbage, except for Georgia, and we can't even we lose one game, and we can't even get into the SEC championship game. Look, the chalk doesn't hold that much in this league.
When did they do this? Did they do this in spring meetings on golf day, and they had to rush to a treat? Tom, says, "Hey man, throw some in a hat." I mean,
no, they didn't come up with this until the season started. They didn't come up with these tiebreakers. The tiebreaker scenarios.
No, okay.
Oh, okay. You meant the schedule?
Oh, the tiebreakers. That's pretty bad too. Mm-hmm. I mean, can you take away some time from the beach and the golf to kind of? Can you do this?
I don't know that there is a plausible tiebreaker when you're talking about 16 teams, or if you get to the Big Ten, 18 teams, or that if everybody doesn't play everybody doesn't play most of everybody, how do you got to come up with something that's not a coin toss, and it's hard to be fair. It really is. I mean, if you're going to have 4 teams tied after.
Well, the obvious would be like it's always been, but with this many teams, not everybody's going to play each other.
No.
So the multi-team tiebreakers, the 3 or more tiebreakers are it's a chances, you're not going to have it. I mean, the divisional play, you didn't have to have tiebreakers. You only had tiebreakers to represent the division, and everybody played each other. So I mean, that's you had a built-in tiebreaker, and they only going to play each other once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, so it's easy, but man, come on, SEC. I mean, you act like how long you been knowing that this team is going to be? You're going to have this many teams.
Well,
you weren't going to have divisions.
The really surprising thing is that Georgia gets thrown out in this scenario too. Now, if I'm Georgia, I'm really steamed.
I'll maintain
because hang on, they had a schedule. Had to go to Alabama, had to go to Texas, still got to go to Ole Miss, and they play Tennessee. And yet, because Mississippi State has been so bad, because Kentucky and Auburn have crashed and burned, they would be kicked out of this 4-team tiebreaker as well.
Well,
now that ain't. I'll be the first one to say that ain't fair.
But Georgia also played the toughest, the most tough road games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think this is fair at all.
In Tuscaloosa, in Oxford,
keep Texas out, no problem.
In those three. Who else had three of the? And we put at the top 7, right?
Yeah, preseason.
I'm talking about
top 7 in the league. Yeah,
in reality,
yeah,
what's planned out. The top 7, they played 3 of the other 6 on the road. That's a lot. Nobody else has had to do that.
No, the difference becomes that Mississippi State has been that bad. That's what keeps them out.
This Texas thing. So, and listen, to their defense, the Michigan game is 9 times out of 10 is going to be tougher this year. It was the most advantageous. I mean, you have record turnover, and you catch them early in the season when they're still trying to figure things out.
Yeah, as
a staff and as their with their record amount of guys drafted, the whole deal. First sole national championship since the 40s. I mean, we go on and on. I mean, it just was worked out. But the league can control this, and this was grossly imbalanced between them in Oklahoma.
I agree with you. I'm officially rooting for this for no other reason than to see Texas, whine and complain. It would screw Georgia, but it also.
I'll stick with my original prediction.
What's that?
It's going to be hard to keep them out of the SEC championship game, but they're not going to win it.
Okay, and that's fair.
I still don't. How good are they? I'm asking you. I mean, do they have capable offensive and defensive fronts, right?
Yeah.
Then they designed this to pay the offensive linemen and have them built and have them experienced to when they get to SEC play. I get it. Ewers can play well, but he can stink it up as well. Manning's not the answer right now. He might be able to give you a couple good quarters. He might stink it up like he did against Georgia. He looked like a deer in the headlights against Georgia. I mean, I'm holding the ball out there like Jamarcus Russell used to.
He did. In his defense, he was down 3 touchdowns at the time, and that's a hell of a spot to go into the game. But, yeah, against a team like Georgia, who is as good as they are.
Does he think he's going to come in there 3 touchdowns up?
No, I would imagine he didn't think he was coming into that game at all. They didn't think that Ewers was going to play that badly.
And then Sark, right, when you think he does. Why is he doing that?
Well, that's a great question.
Way too premature.
Sure.
That was way too premature.
You open yourself up.
You're trying to tell, so.
The league should be rooting for this because you would be leaving Georgia and Texas out both at 11-1. They'd be shoo-ins for the playoffs, and if you take the 2 teams from Atlanta, that's 4.
You can't penalize a team for finishing second in this league and participate. You cannot.
So
they've got to be in.
So if LSU and A&M would play in the SEC championship game under this scenario, they would both be in the playoff, right?
If LSU and
A&M in this scenario that I just described, where all the chalk wins.
Okay,
they get in, and then Georgia and Texas
are left out. How much is this money line parlay going to pay?
Oh, a lot. Does not require one upset.
Yeah, okay.
Does not require one upset.
The chalk is held.
Let me hope. This would be a lot of fun.
Well, Texas is going. It's going to be hard to keep them out of the SEC championship game. If you hold them out of that, are you going to be able? They lose at College Station. You going to keep 10-2 Texas out?
No.
You know what's funny? But how much more impressive would their schedule be than Indiana's? And we're talking about 10-2. Indiana ain't getting in.
No,
they ain't getting in. They got to play Ohio State.
If Indiana had the exact same, I'm going to. I can't
schedule,
remember who said it. Put them in the Michigan uniforms with that exact schedule.
Do you have a strength of schedule right there to this point? Where they
not handy, but
Texas played Georgia, which separates them from Indiana. Yeah.
Now do it after Indiana goes to Ohio State too.
Yeah, Texas, Ohio State, and Georgia are wash.
Yes,
okay.
Both road.
Both played Michigan.
Yeah,
and then the other teams are about the same.
Yeah. And you're right.
And then
Indiana
they've got to go
wouldn't-
to A&M, so that's going to be a tougher one than Indiana. But it's not that different, and it's like clear cut. 10-2 Texas is in, 10-2 Indiana is out.
I agree, and I wish I could remember who said it, so I could give them credit for it. If you put Indiana in the Michigan uniforms, they're in, and that's the only difference right
Like
now.
where they're ranked right now.
I know it's embarrassing.
Indiana's 13.
I know, and they should.
Where was Texas ranked before they played Georgia? When they played nobody.
One.
One.
One. And even after they lost, they're fifth.
We're going to find out this when everybody else is watching the election, presidential election. I'll be watching the selection committee. Okay, I'll hold the fort down for us. I'm a little bit more committed to this show than you, Charlie.
That's it. I like to be more well-rounded.
You're Kamala Curtis. So.
No class. This was just too easy to put Tyreek Stevenson in, right? I mean, come on, that's just too low-hanging fruit, right?
But how about?
But he needs a mention.
But how about no
right?
accountability by his teammates?
Yeah. Well, publicly, maybe. Don't you think behind
They went to their leadership council and they said no discipline required here. No, but he's going to learn.
What do you think's going on in that locker room? You think he's not getting it? I mean, maybe some good-natured, like they're going to remind him every chance they get without being really. I don't know.
This is from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Really, you were fortunate. You're going to steal one and a key one where your quarterback was completely outplayed by the other quarterback. That's fine. You already missed once. You drafted the wrong guy. Okay,
Yeah.
you did. And I mean, everybody else had Williams ahead of Daniels, but and the other thing is, Williams is not committed to. He's Kyler Murray right now. He's one look and he's running. He's not even committed to the pocket right now. And so then you do the deal with the fullback. I mean, come on, man. I mean, or the lineman giving him the ball and chop it up. The spy, no discipline on your team when you're running around. You give up the 13 yards to give him. I mean, from top to bottom, this was a disaster. A disaster in a market where they will not let them forget it.
Oh no, not in Chicago. Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns. You can put him in no class forever, but this week it's particularly crystallized because he wouldn't let him make a quarterback change. I don't care what they say, and you put Jameis Winston in, who's not exactly an All-Pro, and you light it up against, if not the best team in football, well, certainly one of them in Baltimore. I'm going to give you one more, though, Jimmy. For everybody that wanted a coaching change with the Jets, and maybe it was Aaron Rodgers, maybe it wasn't. What was the one thing the Jets had going for them at the beginning of the season? Playing pretty well defensively, right? Salah's
number one in yards per play defense.
Yeah.
When they made the coaching switch.
Yeah, they were fourth in points allowed per drive. You know what they are in the 3 games since? 26th in points allowed per drive. Aaron Rodgers is running out of people to blame. I guess this week they can blame the kicker, Zerline, who I wish would have missed in 2018, but didn't. But he misses 2 kicks this week. So I guess they'll blame the kicker this week. But after that, they're running out of scapegoats over there.
Watson had 19 starts in Cleveland. How many 300-yard games?
None.
Winston had 1. He led the league in passing with 300 yards. I think it is. I'll go back up to like 15 out of 16. The flag. Oh no, maybe no. I'm sorry. It's like 8 out of 9. 8 out of 9. Watson 0 for 19. These two combined 8 out of 9 300-yard passing games.
And either Joe Flacco or Jameis Winston, you could have had for free. the NFL equivalent
on
of
his
free,
couch.
Right? Yeah.
And Winston, the Saints wouldn't even play him.
Any team could have had Jameis Winston.
Red Rifle was playing ahead of Winston.
Dalton would have been fine for Cleveland Sunday.
And look, typical Jameis, though. I mean, he threw it right to the safety. All you got to do is hold on to it. It's ball game.
Right.
But then he threw a beautiful touchdown, too, at the end. So
he did.
What's his name? Njoku? The tight end. Njoku.
Yeah.
This guy.
What do you have, like 12 targets or 14 targets?
It was crazy. It's the same thing. I mean,
right.
what? He's got to be the first one at the owner's door, huh?
You would think. First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Try the new parboiled rice. Jimmy's been a favorite
Great.
for yours.
Restaurant quality. Yes,
Parboiled rice to go along with the jasmine, the brown grain, the long grain, the medium grain. Pick your favorite of the jasmine rice of the Supreme Rice family. 3 big home games coming up in the month of November. LSU still playing for something. You're going out tailgating, whether you got red beans or white beans, jambalaya or gumbo. The weather cools off a little bit. Make it with Supreme Rice. You can go to the Rouse's where we do pregame, just a couple of miles off campus on your way in, or wherever you buy rice. Make it Supreme Rice. Part of the Climate Smart program. They're talking about reducing methane emissions and promoting water conservation so that future generations of Louisiana farmers can enjoy the same benefits. Supreme Rice has been around for a long time, since the 1930s. So down in Southwest Louisiana, you are helping out our Louisiana farmers. For more information and some great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com. Take a break. Live at lunch from Doe's Eat Place on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at Doe's Eat Place, live at lunch. You catch us on demand, LouisianaSports.net, 104.5ESPN.com, and new Handycast up on YouTube right now. Jimmy, a couple of other NFL games that we didn't have time to get to yesterday. More surprising that the Lions scored 52 points with Jared Goff throwing for 85 yards, or that the Buccaneers.
That's all he threw for?
Yeah. Well, the Titans kept giving them the ball on their side of the field.
My interest, was
left that game quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
they started 4 drives inside the Titan 30, so that'll happen. Or the Buccaneers losing despite Baker Mayfield throwing for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He threw some picks, though, Charlie.
He did.
He threw some picks. He's a gunslinger. I mean, he's gonna make some plays. He's gonna make some mistakes. They were able to run the ball against him.
Bucky Irving,
100 yards.
Yeah,
100
Bucky Irving's been a nice addition for them. The rookie out of Oregon. He's done a real nice job running the football for them. And that was after Rashad White. In addition to the 2 Baker Mayfield fumbles, interceptions, Rashad White had an early fumble that set up Atlanta for
3 turnovers to 0. It's going to be hard for them. Another 4th down that was failed. So you're -4 in takeaways. That's when you're fighting uphill with your top 2 receiving targets out. I mean, that's a tough going. But give Atlanta the credit for early. I mean, they got the opening kickoff, bam, right down the field. I think they were the first one to score a touchdown. And Pitts, that knucklehead, he showed you all in one. He's a tease, boy. He can do some things. A lot of people can't do it, the tight end position. But, I mean, he's dropping the ball. And you know what? They showed another angle that was a clearer angle, showed that he did not he did not break the plane before he dropped the ball on that second touchdown.
That one, that was the one we were talking about. Where how can you not have a better angle on the field at the time?
A lot of colleges have the pylon cam, basically, is what they call it.
Yeah, a pylon cam that is directly on the thing. That would be the first. After my main camera, which follows the ball,
that's the first one. Absolutely.
The first ones I'm putting on are the ones on the goal line. And I want one on each side on the goal line, and for some reason they don't have that. All right, Colts. You asked me about Anthony Richardson earlier. Anthony Richardson, to this point, has completed 44% of his passes. I know completion percentage is not the only. The only stat that we follow. In fact, sometimes we discount it because it's got a lot of layers to it. You know, how much pressure you're under, what's the score, and all that stuff. But that would be since 2000. There's only a handful of quarterbacks that have been worse than that to this point in the season. You ready for this list? Ryan Leaf, J.P. Lossman, Tim Tebow, Jamarcus Russell, and a severely aging Mark Brunell, who was a really good quarterback in his prime, but in the 2004 season had sort of aged out. That's the list.
very inaccurate thrower.
Yeah.
But completion percentage does not always equate to a level of accuracy. This one it seems to, but just my eyeballs. I mean, he and it's some bad ones, Charlie. He's skipping some. It's very frustrating for the receivers. He has no idea how to anticipate throws. He's got to see them. I mean, he's a freak athlete. He's still going to run. I mean, he has to. It's just very hard to improve that much. I mean, he needed to, get more reps in Florida and try and improve at that level before just 1 year of starting, and to be so. I mean, he's a freak athlete, but I mean, it is to take him that high was just. It was crazy. And so now what you're doing, and Rohan told us, Jimmy, look, one of the first things I learned, they paying you, they drafted you, you're playing no matter how much you suck. But at the quarterback position where maybe some sitting on the side and rushing him in when he's so raw to begin with, I don't think is the best recipe for his long-term success. The only thing may be sit and take your time and nurture him because he got a lot of spoon feeding. A lot of spoon feeding needing for him. So it's just this is one where I'm sitting there watching Sunday and I'm telling Max, if this guy develops into a dependable passer in this league, y'all got me. I mean, you just got me. He is so far away. I can't remember a guy that is this far away. I can't remember a guy that was so bad at the lower level throwing the ball it was brought up. Minus that one damn day in Knoxville where he lit the place up. So
I asked you that question, ask you this one, and I wish Max was here today because this is one of his stats. He completed 44% of his passes the other day. They do an advanced analytic. I know it's a dirty word around here, but what is his expected completion percentage? They take the difficulty of the throw and where it goes down and all of the aspects of the game, and they say, what should you complete in this game? And the completion percentage that he should have, and this is consistent with the other games this year as well, is 47%. In other words, they are asking him to make some of the most difficult throws just because they know that he has.
They're asking him, or he's making those throws.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so if you are calling these plays where we saw that miraculous throw that he made across his body, 60 yards down the field. I forgot who they were playing. It was like week
first
2.
Game of the year.
First
against Houston.
Okay, so he makes this throw that maybe 4 people on the planet can make, and they got enamored, and it's like, wow, we'll ask him to do this all the time. Do you ever see them give him something easy to complete? And some of that's on him.
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I see him miss some routine throws really poor, really badly.
Okay.
Yes.
You're probably watching him closer than I am because I'm watching him constantly throw the ball way down the field.
He's throwing balls that nobody else is putting in these spots. That's how bad he's missing. He is in a league with some poor quarterback play, and some guys are in tough situations. No protection, not a whole lot of weapons. Some guys, but nobody's missing as badly as it. When he misses, it's not the number. But if you get knocked dinged a couple of points for missing really bad, it'd be like the pitch that's over the back pot, the backstop or something like that. I mean, when he misses, he's missing bad.
And there's some guys that you can't even turn them into a check down Charlie to get them going. Brandon Harris was like that. You couldn't give him the little short passes because everything had too much steam on it. I'm just thinking to myself, listen, I want to give this guy a high success rate with whatever it is, and they're asking him
He's not comfortable throwing touch passes. Underneath passes. He's a behemoth. He is a freak athletically. He's big, strong, and he can make that. But no, those guys are hard to teach to throw the ball with touch. Yes, can this guy throw with touch?
I'm asking him to throw shorter passes that he would have a better chance to complete.
Don't require a little touch. You got to hit guys on the move.
They do.
I mean, you saw Daniel Jones, an easy throw for him, and how many starts has he had?
Yeah, well, you can throw on a hitch. You can throw that one with some steam, but you got to be accurate. I mean, can he hit a target at 15 yards? 9 out of 10 times.
He's going to give you a handful of plays that not a whole lot of people can make.
Yeah,
a
that
game.
play against the Texans.
Maybe it might be 3 to 5 a game, okay, whether it's with his legs or some with his arm.
Yeah.
We know he can do things with his legs that nobody else can do at that size. Nobody else can move like that at that size. But when he's going to be on the sideline if he does. But he'll give you a few a game to kind of keep you, man, but no, there's just way too many throws and not just the high difficulty throws. We're talking some basic throws, misses badly on it. Don't forget our friends at Electric Man, electricmanbatonrouge.com. Residential or commercial electricians, insured, licensed professionals, provide free inspection, quality service, free estimate as well. Friendly technicians when they come in as well, and guaranteed schedule appointments, which is key also. Great deals at electricmanbatonrouge.com. Hey, you working from home? We got you. We can do a whole powerhouse for you. Boost your facilities with a much more work-conducive space, even in the comfort of your own home. Simple things like better lighting, better outlet choices and placements, specially designed wirings to internet routers will improve the efficiency of your equipment and your work experience. So, Electric Man, electricmanbatonrouge.com, 372-5356, and electricmanbatonrouge.com.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
The Thibodeau store and the Pierre Part store. You're doing home improvements. These are the guys you need to go see. Not just because they've got a huge selection of inventory, whether you need paint or wood, you need electrical tools, power tools or hand tools, you need electrical, plumbing supplies, or any of the other things you get at your standard hardware store. But you're going to get expert instruction as well. And these projects, these small projects that you can do yourself, please don't try to go and follow a YouTube video when you can go to these experts that will walk you through the step-by-step instructions. They're going to save you time. They're going to save you money. You're not going to be buying supplies that you don't need. Need it delivered? Go to ThibodeauStore.com, and that includes lumber that they'll deliver out of their Pierre Part store location. They've been around for 113 years. They just made their 113th year anniversary. Had a big celebration in Pierre Part this past Saturday. So head to one of the two locations, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. And online, it's ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Dodgers won again last night. They're one game away from winning the World Series. Freddie Freeman had another home run. He's got 4 hits in the series. 3 of them have gone over the fence. One of them was a walk-off grand slam. Jimmy, I'm almost a little surprised that there's even anybody else in the mention for the MVP of the series at this point.
It's minus 1,600.
I know.
The next price is 35 to 1.
Right.
Nobody else is being mentioned.
Right. Where does you've seen World Series since you were a kid? Where's this one? Where's this one rank? I mean,
what do you mean? It's 4-0 or 4-1. I mean, what do you think? The Yankees going to win 2 to get back to L.A.? And even still, how much of a chance do you give them?
At this point, no. I think probably
it's baseball.
It is. I would say the Dodgers in 5 if I had to guess. I don't think the Yankees get swept. I was actually talking about Freeman more than the Dodgers. With great individual. I mean, this is.
Game one is the only really. That was it. That was the apex of excitement. For this series, and it looks like it's over. And it's just a bit of a dud. It was a non-competitive game in Game 2, and man, it took the Yankees till the damn 9th inning to get a run last night at home. Mookie Betts made a nice play in right center to save a run. I think Teoscar Hernandez fired one to get Giancarlo at the plate. Man, he got to run a little bit better than that, especially with 2 outs. But, just...
you know what was great about that play? The tag. I mean, the tag was really... that's not an easy play.
Pretty routine for a catcher, a Major League catcher, Charlie.
You thought that was a routine play?
Yeah, I see it all the time. You don't watch that much Major League Baseball.
I watch enough. I didn't think that was a routine in the position.
Right.
But okay.
Not college, Charlie. These guys are pretty damn good.
I'm aware. But I thought that was a pretty good... the throw was excellent, obviously, but I thought that was...
The throw was okay. I mean, it was not... You had a guy with an ice pack on his back trying to run. He was so slow. That was... That was, man, that's not a tough play. I mean, not a tough one. It was an accurate play. Figured to be a close play, but it was with anybody with any type of speed, he's just in. With 2 out, pop. He's going crack the bat.
Right. A faster runner's going to score. I'm not going to argue that point.
He was just, Giancarlo's been doing it with his bat. He's paid to hit home runs, and he's been hitting them. The big story is Judge is giving him nothing. Judge has been. Judge is. And people act like they're freaking out. This happens, man. Barry Bonds. How bad was he in the postseason for the Pirates now? He
for
was
the Pirates,
awful.
Because the one time they made the World Series with the Giants, he was really good.
No, when he got a little help once went to the Giants.
Yes, he did.
All right, and he put him in position where they had that thing ready to close out in 6 against the Angels. But it happens where big-time players in a short span, go through the level of pitching they're seeing is usually tougher. Think about how long they had off. All the pitching. Nestor Cortez, you have him in a relief role again. You didn't have him all year in that. So a lot of the home runs. Look, Judge can hit. He's hit some good pitching along the way as well, but it happens where the pitching is more dominant in the postseason because they're rested, because you have breaks in play from series to series and within the series as well. But it's one of the big reasons because they're doing very little at the plate. And they had the one. This series would be completely different had they held on to that one. And that's why when you get one stolen from you, and think about when the A's, who are huge favorites, now Hershiser was pitching, he was unbelievable, but the A's were big favorites. But once they stole that game 1, then they finish out in 5. A's win that one, that might be going 7, probably does. It certainly goes 6.
Right.
And so where would we be right now? We'd be at 2-1, and the series would be fine right there. But when you had that one stolen from you on that first pitch by Freeman, I didn't know this. We made the comparison to contrast. Was that the exact same time as Gibson's
read
home
that.
run?
I never got it confirmed that it was at the exact same time
multiple,
as Gibson's.
The 8:39 or 8:49 Pacific time.
Something, yeah. I'll take their word for it. It's not something that would have crossed my mind. That's eerie, is what that is.
Now it was a different night.
Yeah,
the game was on Saturday night, right? With the A's and Dodgers.
Oh gosh,
This was Friday night.
Yeah, I don't remember the day of the week. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, the exact same time as Gibson's. That's downright spooky. That's just an amazing coincidence, and I guess it's true. If you've seen it more than I saw one person post it, and then I didn't go check it. I'll take your word for it.
I know, and I'm just seeing just like in 1988, down to the last out. 8:37 p.m. Pacific time.
8:37.
God, that's crazy.
That's Twilight Zone stuff, man.
It's just, so October 15th, 1988. What day was October 15th?
Where's Steinley?
I know.
Tuesday. He'd be able to tell you right off the bat. Well, while you look that up, I'll tell you what the Freeman run is reminding me a little bit of was David Freese. When he got going for the Cardinals in 11, and he had big hit after big hit after big hit.
That was Game 6, right?
He had.
That's deeper into the series.
Two outs in the ninth of Game 6, and then the walk off in the 11th, and then he had a big hit in Game 7 too, but it was at the beginning of the game. He had like a 2-run double.
I said October 15th, Charlie.
Yeah, October 15th.
It was Saturday.
It was Saturday,
like
okay.
I thought. Yeah, this is a new kind of thing with the Friday. Big deal, game. But I think in the end, it's going to. And look, man, I think how happy was Fox to get. And look, even I don't want to say, I'll steal a Hunt because I heard Hunt make this comment. And I agree with him 100%. I don't want to see Dodgers and Yankees every year. I get tired of that. Yeah. These are two teams I kind of pull against. More established, big payroll, the whole thing. They've got all of their advantages. But I wanted this time. And you do. Yeah. Do I want to see Shohei Ohtani?
Absolutely. I want to see Judge.
That top three. Do I want to see Judge?
Yeah.
And Giancarlo and these guys? I mean, so and yes, and East Coast, West Coast. So and it's nostalgic as well. So no, this had. But man, it just. Shoom. I mean, hey, what do we say? 8:37, 10:37 our time
8:37
on Friday.
So,
That's it. The drama, the excitement, is over. And this is one they had to have last night. And I even played conspiracy theory with my Otter Lock last night. I mean, they can't let this thing go 3-0. It's over. They lose so much money.
Right.
Where's David Stern when you need him, huh?
Right. They even sent Jeter out there to throw out the first pitch. Now, the Yankees haven't been in the World Series since 2009. I mean, I don't never want to see the Yankees in the World Series.
I do.
In 2002, I had seen the Yankees in the World Series, 5 out of 6 years at that point? I was tired of seeing them.
They get swept tonight. I mean, this will almost be like they will get more criticism from that fan base and from that media market from going and getting swept than if they didn't make it at all. I mean,
no, you're right.
Is that fair? No, but I mean, it's
that media market. You want the attention, you want the money. This is what comes with it.
Oh yeah. So, Eberflus too in Chicago.
Dead man walking.
Oh, don't forget our friends at Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. So, boy, I wish I would have known about Relief Windows and their gelled windows at the original construction of my home back in the day, because about 10 years, one window had enough trying to deal with the extreme South Louisiana weather conditions, and about 2 years later, the other window in front of the house had much as it could handle. So the thing about it is, man, with the wood windows, the gelled windows, it's made from RLS wood that, and they're going to last longer. It is just that simple. So you can schedule your free quote today by giving us a call at 230-5652. We're open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or just schedule it online. As soon as you pull up, you've got an option there to schedule your free quote. But they look good. They'll last. They're under warranty. So check them out, the RLS windows from Relief Windows, for if your homeowners association in their requirements require wood windows in your home. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We appreciate everybody that listens to the show. I didn't realize we had a following in Indianapolis, but apparently we do. We do a segment at 12:30 talking about Anthony Richardson. At 12:40, they set out a statement or whatever that Anthony Richardson's being benched for Joe Flacco. What else can we make it do?
I mean, wow, play your best quarterback.
They decided to do that in Tennessee.
And you know what?
You
can do little packages down at the end zone for him. You know, things like that.
Right.
I mean, where a running quarterback is so much more valuable. I mean, you can still use him, but man, the pass and we've seen him with this team too. Mm-hmm. We saw the passing game. So,
do you want to win
6
now?
out of 7, by the way, for
Cleveland quarterbacks.
No, yeah, the with Flacco last year and Winston this year, 300-yard passing games, and Watson over 19. How much was because of the tapping out, which Steichen criticized him?
They're saying no. I think yes. I absolutely.
I mean, it didn't take this past weekend to evaluate these quarterbacks.
You don't. Quarterbacks don't ask out. I mean, if they're not injured. I think it plays.
Tomorrow, Los Reyes.
We will be there. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Jordan back in the studio, for Jimmy Ott, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon.